What's up, my friends? It's Rob Bill, the Holistic Renegade here, coming to you from the Ancient Oaks and bringing to you Holistic Strength Yoga number 1. And this is a lot of stuff that I spend 12 weeks with, working on my warriors inside of Men's Yoga Transformation. And my thing is that my dream is to bring more durability, ease, and freedom to your movement, as well as your mind, your energy, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. And I accomplish that through really helping you get into alignment through proper muscular activation, through increasing our flexibility and our stability within our joints and our muscles. We lay the groundwork to develop groundbreaking mobility and strength. Groundbreaking for you, groundbreaking for people that look at you and are like, wow, that guy moves really well. What we're going to do today is start with an introductory yoga flow. It is going to be a little bit challenging, and I do recommend that you have some blocks. And if you don't have blocks, grab some pillows, because I'm a big fan of props to help you achieve that alignment and that activation. And to begin, as we begin every yoga class, we're going to start in a nice seated position, whatever feels right for you. I'm going to take crisscross applesauce, known as Sukhasana, or the easy pose in yoga, taking my hands to my butt, untucking that flesh back there, untucking any bunch of flesh in my shins and my ankles, and then sitting nice and tall. Setting those hands down wherever feels right, wherever feels comfy for you. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels right. And imagining, even if you don't know how to do it, that you could relax through your forehead, your jaw, the tiny muscles in your ears, and feeling those ear canals relaxing and deepening towards the back of your mouth. Feeling the tongue, the teeth relaxing. And the roof of your mouth expanding towards the top of your head. Feeling that breath flowing deeply through the deepest areas of the throat, almost like it could flow through your heart. Imagining the sound of that breath in that deepest space is like an ocean wave. It's called our Ujjayi breath in yoga. I'm starting to breathe a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, really focusing on expanding that belly like you could pop a belt off of your belly. Stopping before you feel any strain in the neck and shoulders, and just reversing that breath, drawing it out long. Maybe starting to pull that breath into the back of the ribs like it could expand to the room behind you. Filling up that space underneath your underarms, neck and shoulders still relaxed. Drawing out that out breath. Imagine you could breathe all the way up to the very top of your head without straining the neck and shoulders, even if you're like, I don't know how to do that. Just imagining what it would be like. Let's bring a little movement in here. As we inhale, reaching those arms all the way up out to the sides, overhead. And as you exhale, making this little like cat vomit, metal singer sound, a little it's going to help you zip your front rib cage in. And we're keeping those front ribs zipped in. We're going to try and lift those arms up even higher without any pain in the joints. Stretching the fingertips away from each other, stretching the skin of the palms. Inhaling as tall as we can, like we'd breathe up to those fingertips. Really trying to pull those arm bones back like we could squeeze our shoulder blades back without pinching them together. Maybe trying to screw the arms in and imagining I'm pressing your elbows together. You don't like that, so you're pressing out into my hands. Feel all of a sudden that stability underneath the underarms. Relax through your mouth. Take that left wrist in the right hand. Take a big inhale, nice and tall. As we exhale, let's take a little right side bend. Keep that left cheek down. Breathe into the left side of the ribs. And try not to crunch into the right side of your body. Keep that spine long. We want space between your vertebrae. If you feel crunching, difficulty breathing anywhere, make the posture easier. Inhaling back to center. Taking that right wrist to the left hand and exhaling, taking a little left side bend. Breathing into the right side, ribs, side body, keeping that crunch out of that left side. Keep that right cheek down. You're going to inhale back to center and exhale, bring your palms together and right out in front of your heart. It's real easy to grab our legs and twist deeper here, but we're going to inhale, taking a nice big in-breath, blowing up that rib cage. As we exhale, twist your torso to the right. Your gaze follows your heart. Try to zip that belly in like you're wringing yourself out like a towel. Another big in-breath. And exhale, see if we can twist further. Notice how that twist has to come from the spine when we do it this way, not the head, not the arms. Relax the mouth. Let's inhale back to center. And exhale, taking a little left side twist. Gaze follows the heart. Notice your gaze trying to twist, making you think you're twisting further than you are. Zipping that belly in, wringing out that towel. Maybe this side feels harder, or even easier. Inhale back to center. Reach those arms all the way up. And as we exhale, we'll place those hands down in the lap. Rolling over our knees, making our way down to our bellies. Or just one belly if you only have one. Ha. Pointing those toes straight back. Feel free to slide those hands underneath the shoulders like you're going to do a push-up. And press into the tops of those feet from big toe to pinky toe. Notice how you do that. That might spin your legs in, opening up space in the back of your hips. Notice if it's hard to press down into that pinky toe. It means that your hips are probably in more external rotation, pinching your back up a little bit. Just gentle pressure into the top of the mat through those feet. You'll feel your thighs starting to work. Slide those palms as low as you can, like you can get the heels of your palms towards your lowest ribs without straining anything, without hurting your wrists or shoulders. If you have to go higher, you can. Press down into those palms nice and hard. And imagine there's an egg underneath the heel of your palm. Don't crush it. As we inhale, pull that ribcage up away from the hips and just gently start to peel that heart up off the mat. This is called little baby cobra, Bhujangasana. Pull your chest open. And without pinching those shoulder blades together, stretch the elbows away from each other like you're making space underneath your underarms, almost like you could slide your shoulder blades away. Just a few big breaths here. Cobra. This is not about how high we can arch. It's about how far we can pull the rib cage away from the hips. It's about decompressing your spine. And exhale right back down to the mat. Releasing that. Feel free to wiggle into your neck a little bit, stretching that out. If you lifted yesterday like me, it's probably a little bit tight. Now we're going to dig those toes under. You might recognize this as a push-up prep. Digging those toes under, stretching back through the heels like you're about to do a push-up. Hands in the same spot. Those knees are lifted up off of the mat and stretch that mat apart between the feet. Imagine I'm pressing your knees together. Press out into my hands. Hello, hips. They're working. Your thighs are working. That's called breaking the knee belt. Press down into the mat through those palms like you're about to do a push-up, but keep that belly, keep the chest down. It's called push-up prep. Breathing like we could pull that rib cage up away from the hips. Chest open. Stretch the shoulder blades away from each other. Imagine I'm pressing your elbows together behind your back. Press out into my hands. That's called breaking the elbow belt. As we exhale, release down to the mat. Point those toes back. And sit your butt back towards your heels, laying your belly down over your thighs into what's called a child's pose, Balasana. Taking that Metal Singer breath, that cat vomit breath, to lay down over those thighs again. Maybe even lay your forehead down to the floor or a pillow. Creeping those fingertips out long overhead. Stretch that mat apart between those knees. Feel the hips. Breathe into that belly and the back ribs again. Exhale and try to relax a little bit more. If Agnieszka was here, my teacher, she'd say, no relaxing in yoga, only Shavasana. Creep those fingertips out overhead. Get long through those arms. This is active here. Ground through the balls of your fingers. That's your under knuckles. Don't smush the egg underneath the heel of your palms. Doming those arms like you'd lift them towards the sky. Feel how they're deep in your shoulder joint now. And imagine I'm pressing the elbows together. Press out into my hands gently. That's breaking the elbow belt. Feel the underarms active. We got length in the shoulders from reaching, depth from doming, stability from breaking that belt. Just a few more breaths here in this child's pose. Remember this activation. Feel that breath in the belly and the back of the ribs. Now let's use that strength in the shoulders as you inhale to pull you up to hands and knees. Bring those wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And from here, it's up to you whether you want your toes dug under or not. If you dig them under and stretch into your feet, you'll release some pressure on your knees. I like that. You don't have to. Go right under the balls of your fingers. Let's pedal into the wrists a little bit. Press through the ball of that right palm, lifting the heel of that right palm up. Feel the forearm working. Set that heel down. Take the same thing on the left side. Pedal into that left wrist. Setting it down. This takes a lot of shoulder strength. Right wrist, left. Take your time. Right and left. And that's important because that's where we want your weight when we're on our hands. Now let's take both wrists. Press the floor away from the balls of your fingers. Lift the heels of the palms up and set it right back down. Don't smush the egg. Just 3 of them. 2, 3. And let's take some cat and cow. Stretch that mat apart between the knees. Lift your tailbone up like you're pointing your tail at the sky. Roll the shoulders back like your cobra. Arch that back. Lift the heart up, looking straight ahead. You're stretching into your belly here. Let's stay here for a moment. Feel those hips from stretching the mat. Feel that chest stretched open. Screw those arms into the mat like your elbows could point back. No pain in the joints. And again, break the elbow belt. I'm pressing your elbows together. Press out into my hands. This is your cow. As we exhale, let's tuck the hips under. Zip the belly button up. Press the floor away. Tuck that chin down to your collarbones. It's the opposite. We're rounding into the back here. This is your cat. You could even squeeze the knees together here. Wiggle into that back a little bit. Let's inhale back into cow. Stretch the mat. Tailbone lifts. Heart shines. Lengthening the belly. Screw the arms in. Break the elbow belt. And exhale to reverse. Rounding into that back. Zipping that belly up. Stretching that back body. Tucking that chin down. And one more time. Inhaling into cow. And exhaling into cat. Betalasana. Coming back to tabletop, that point right in between the two. Gently stretching that mat. That tailbone is lifted. Ground into those palms. Heart lifted, but the front ribs are zipped in. From here, let's ground in that left palm. Inhale, reach the right arm up towards the sky. Open arm twist towards the right side of the mat. Try to keep that tailbone untucked. And as we exhale, we're going to thread the needle, reaching through that gap underneath that left arm. See if you can press the right shoulder, the back of that right hand to the mat. And feel free here to walk that left arm out overhead, just like child's pose. We're just going to take 3 breaths. Big inhale, press down into the mat through that right arm. Feel that stretch through the back. As you exhale, relaxing. Feel free to wiggle into it a little bit. Again, big inhale, press down. Big exhale, relax, and wiggling into it. Maybe you can reach a little bit further through this gap. One more time. Big inhale, press it down. And big exhale. Sliding that left hand in underneath the left shoulder. Inhaling up and out into that open arm twist. Notice if it feels more spacious this time. Exhale that right hand back down to the mat. Just those knees, wiggling those hips a little bit. Grounded in that right palm. Inhale, left arm reaches for the sky. Open arm twist. As we exhale, threading the needle. See if we can press that left shoulder, back of that left hand to the mat. Maybe you decide to creep the right fingertips out overhead like child's pose. Big inhale, press down into the mat, through that left arm. Big exhale, relax it, and feel free to rock into it a little bit. We're just restoring some tissue length here in this warm-up. Maybe you can reach a little bit further through with that left arm without forcing it. Big inhale, pressing down. And big exhale, rocking into it. And one more time. Big inhale, press it down. Big exhale. Relaxing. Sliding that right hand back underneath that right shoulder. Inhaling up and out into that open arm twist. The left arm reaches for the sky. Maybe it feels more spacious. Let's exhale, planting that left hand. Wiggling those hips. Feel free to take a cat and cow or two if that feels right. And then take one more little thing in this warm-up. Digging those toes under, let's step up back towards the heels, just stretching into those feet. Feel free to wiggle. And then we're going to sweep that right foot forward to the inner edge of that right hand. Toes in line with the fingertips. We're in a nice low lunge. You might decide to step that left knee back an inch. Point the left toes straight back, just like our cobra. This is where if you got blocks, pillows, it might be helpful to bring them in for the hands. We're going to press into the top of that left foot, lift that left knee up. Feel all that work through that left leg. Imagine we can point the left hip straight ahead. Feel all that work back there. Peek back at that ankle. Is it collapsing out? If it is, zip it in. I have to resist it in towards my midline. Hello, glute. And then keep all that work as we set that left knee down. Press down through the inner edge of your right foot, that big toe, and that right pinky toe. Press that right thigh into that right arm. And then lunge nice and deep. You might try to reach that right knee beyond the right toes without that right heel coming out, without losing that left glute activation. I'm getting rid of my blocks so you can see me here. Do that torso. Try to do that cobra again. You might come up to your fingertips here. This is really hard to create space in. Rib cage pulling up away from the hips. Zip that belly in. Just a few breaths in this low lunge. It's a big opener for that ankle, the knee, the hip, that flexion in front, that extension through the back. And as we exhale, we can plant those hands, release that right knee back to meet the left. Feel free to take a cat and cow or two. Then we'll dig those toes under again, sitting that butt back towards the heels. We'll sweep that left foot through to the inside edge of that left hand. Toes towards the same line as the fingertips. Blocks here if you want them. I'm going to go without them so you can see me. Point the right toes straight back. Big toe to pinky toe, just like that cobra. Press into the top of that right foot, lift that right knee up. Feel all that work back there. Imagine we can point that right hip straight ahead. Get that heel aligned, make sure it's not pointing out or in. Then set that right knee down, keep all the activation back there. As we spread out those toes, pressing down through big toe, pinky toe. Pressing that left thigh into that left arm, lunge deep into this left knee. Keep that left heel grounded. Cobra torso. Notice if you're crunching in the left side ribs, create space in there. Relax through your mouth. Plant those hands, sweeping it back to hands and knees. Releasing. Take some side to side wiggles. Take some cat and cows if that feels right. And we're going to put some stuff together. We're going to use this flexibility we've worked on here. Meeting me in tabletop. And once you are there, toes are dug under. Stretch that mat apart between the feet and the knees again. Tailbone untucked. Ground through the balls of the fingers like we've practiced. Screwing the arms in. Breaking that elbow belt. Let's inhale. Just float those knees up off of the mat for a second. It's called beast pose. It's not technically a yoga pose. It's a transitional pose. Try to keep all that alignment here. If you can do it here, you can do it almost anywhere else. Now on our next out breath, let's lift those hips up and back into a bent knee, downward facing dog, making the shape of an A. You'll see a lot of people straighten their knees here, but to do that, they steal from their lower back. We want to keep a neutral spine, not a rounded spine. Unless you want to look like you walk around with a rounded spine, then by all means, go for it. Keep grounded to the balls of the feet. Maybe you can lift those toes up, and then press down into big toe and pinky toe. Again, stretch that mat apart between the feet. Tailbone high. Belly zipped. Child's pose, arms pressing away. Breaking the elbow belt. Just a few breaths here in downward facing dog. It might not feel like it, but this is technically a rest posture. Relax through your mouth. Don't worry, we'll get more time here. We're going to come back here. Trying to keep that alignment through your spine. Let's tiptoe those feet towards the front of the mat, making your way onto your feet. Maybe we can get the toes right behind those hands. It's a half forward fold. Maybe you need those blocks here to help you stay neutral through the spine without rounding. Those toes light, and then press down to that big toe and pinky toe. Stretch that mat apart between those heels. Break that knee belt, tailbones high. You can zip that belly in. Maybe we can take that cow shape through that spine and zip that rib cage in at the same time. It's called half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. It's an awesome one for decompressing your spine. Feel those hips working here. Now just for fun, see if we can bring the hands to your butt without changing that position. Ooh, it takes a little bit of work. Squeeze those elbows together behind your back, stretch that chest open. Try to keep that chest lifted. And now trying to use your butt, let's inhale, lifting you to stand. And exhale, releasing those arms to the sides. Keep those legs active. Set up those legs again. Stretch that mat apart between those heels. Notice how that turns the knees in. To fix that, imagine I'm pressing your knees together. Press out into my hands. All of a sudden, hips are online. Knees are pointing straight ahead. Without falling over, try to lift your toes up. Shift that weight back between the balls of the feet and your heels. And then can we set that big toe and pinky toe down? And then the rest of them. Can we do that without that weight shifting forward? Imagine there's a bar, a coat hanger behind your shoulders, and as you inhale, lifting that rib cage high, and exhale, trying to zip those front ribs back in. Turn your palms out to the sides to stretch your chest open. Lift that gaze up like we're looking up over a horizon. And then turn those palms back to face your legs. Imagine pressing your elbows together again. Press out into my hands. There's space underneath your underarms now. This is called Tadasana, the mountain pose. This should be the model for every posture that you follow, even standing in line at McDonald's. You probably won't go there if you're watching this. As you inhale, reach those arms out to the sides and all the way up overhead, just like we did on the mat, seated on our butt. And exhale, zip that rib cage in. Gaze lifted. Screw the arms in. Break the elbow belt again. The legs are active. Just 3 breaths here. Keeping that relaxed breath, we call it relaxed resilience in men's yoga transformation. If you can breathe through this, you can breathe through anything. Ground through that left foot. Take your left wrist in your right hand. Inhale tall. Exhale little right side bend without crunching that right side body. Breathe in the left side ribs. Maybe even peeking up towards that left elbow. Inhaling back to center, switching wrists. Ground through that right foot. Exhale, little left side bend. And inhale back to center. And as we exhale, hinge at those hips, return through that half forward fold. Those hands can reach behind or they can reach down for your blocks. Stretch that mat apart between the heels. Break the knee belt, tailbones lifted, hips working, belly zipped. From here, we're going to try to keep that neutrality through the spine as we bend into those knees, planting the hands, stepping it back to your downward facing dog with bent knees. Nothing crazy here. Taking a few breaths. Stretch that mat apart, break the knee belt. Child's pose arms, belly zipped. As we inhale, let's shift those shoulders forward over your fingertips. Nice strong plank known as Palakasana in yoga. Stretch into those forearms, stretch that mat apart between the feet. Notice, am I grounded through big toes and pinky toes? Break the knee belt again, tailbone lifted, belly zipped. Press that mat away with those arms. Break the elbow belt. Notice how everything is pretty much the same in every posture. It's kind of crazy. Stretching from the top of your head to your heels. Big in-breath. Maybe you drop to the knees for this. Maybe you stay on your toes as we exhale, bending into the elbows, lowering ourselves down to the mat. Little push-up. Whole body touches at once. Point those toes straight back. We've been here. Inhale into your cobra. Just gently pulling that rib cage up away from the hips, lifting that heart up off the mat. Chest and back body open. And exhaling right back down. Dig those toes under. Stretch back into those heels. Maybe you take this push-up straight legs. Maybe you take it from the knees. Inhale through that push-up that's known as Chaturanga Dandasana. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Bench knees here. Just taking a few breaths. Stretch the mat. Zip the belly. Child's pose arms. And as we inhale, lift that right leg up behind you. Trying to keep that right knee pointing straight ahead, like you could almost point it towards your left heel. As we exhale, sweep that right foot through for a low lunge again. Inside edge of that right foot, or right hand. This time, keep that left knee lifted. You might decide to take your box here, if you want it. You don't have to. Find that left glute, squaring those hips, lunging deep into that right knee without the heel coming up. Press down into that right big toe, press that right thigh into that right arm, cobra torso. And now let's inhale, reach the arms and torso up towards the sky, known as a crescent lunge. Exhale, lunging deep. Just a few big breaths here. It doesn't have to look like this on day one. Child's pose arms, where they're long, lifted towards the sky, deep, domed, breaking the elbow belt, stable, belly zipped. As we exhale, hinge at those hips, plant the hands, step it back, downward facing dog. Know you can always take that child's pose that we talked about as a little break, but you might not need it. This is known as a sun salutation, what we're about to wrap up here, this whole standing to lunging sequence. Inhale, reaching that left leg up towards the sky, behind you, long. And exhale, sweeping through into that low lunge on the left. Stretching back through that right leg, right knee lifted, hips square. Grounding through left big toe, pressing that left thigh into that left arm, lunging deep into that left knee. Cobra through that torso, blocks if you want to. Inhale, arms and torso lift. Exhale, lunging deep, crescent lunge. Zip that belly in. Arms lifted, they're long, they're deep. Breaking the elbow belt. Relaxed resilience, mouth relaxed, breathe. Exhale to hinge, plant those hands, stepping it back to your downward facing dog. And taking a few breaths here. I'm going to speed this up just a tiny bit. People let me know, my wife lets me know, I'm the slowest moving person ever. I think that's a good thing. Try to keep that long spine as we tiptoe those feet forward, making our way up to our feet again, half forward fold. Hands can come to blocks. Stretch that mat between the heels. Break the knee belt, tailbone untucked. Toes are light, but still grounded. Hands come to that booty without changing that shape. Squeeze those elbows together behind your back. Inhale to lift to stand. Reach those arms all the way up. And exhale, zip that rib cage in. Ground through both feet, taking the left wrist in the right hand. Big inhale. As we exhale, little right side bend. Don't crunch into that right side body. Keep it open. In the half affirmative. Inhaling back to center. And exhale, switching wrists, taking a little left side bend. Let's inhale back to center, fingertips touching. And exhale, a little back bend. It's just like your cobra. Nothing crazy. Just trying to open up that heart towards the sky without pushing your hips forward. Inhale back up to standing. And exhale, hinge at those hips through that half forward fold. Plant those hands. Step it back to a plank, Palakasana. Let's take a breath here. Stretch the mat apart between the feet. Press away with the hands. Zip that belly in. Stretching from heels to the top of your head. Exhale, bending into those elbows, lowering yourself down through this push-up, Chaturanga Dandasana. Put those toes back. Inhale, nice little cobra, Bhujangasana. And exhale to release. Dig those toes under. Inhale through this push-up. Exhale back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, if you care. Stretch that mat apart, knees bent, tailbone high. Child's pose arms, belly zipped. Let's take that lunge again. Inhale that right leg towards the sky behind you. And let's exhale, sweeping through into that low lunge. Get those legs set up. cobra through that torso. And let's inhale. Arms and torso lift. Right knee follows the toes. Crescent lunge. And just like we just did on both feet, take a big inhale, taking the left wrist in the right hand. Exhale, a little right side bend without falling over. Doesn't have to be crazy. Let's inhale back to center, fingertips together. Exhale, a little back bend. Doesn't have to be crazy, just like your cobra. Inhaling right back up. Exhale to hinge over that right thigh. Plant the hands, step it back. Downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths there. Body's working. Relax, resilience. Breathe. Inhale that left leg towards the sky behind you. And exhale, sweeping it through into that low lunge on the left. Set those legs up. Working to point those hips straight ahead. Cobra through that torso. Inhale, arms and torso lift. Exhale, crescent lunge. Again, you gotta take that right wrist and the left hand. And exhale, little left side bend. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, little back bend. Inhaling back. Exhale, plant those hands. Step it back. Downward facing dog. Just taking a few breaths as we breathe through this discomfort. We cultivate effortless effort, making things just look easy. That can translate to anything else in your life. Final round here, my friends. Tiptoeing towards the front of the mat. Keep that length in the spine. Into our half forward fold. Stretch that mat apart. Break the knee belt. Tailbone untucked. Hands to that booty. Inhale into lift. Send those arms all the way up. Exhale, a little right side bend. Inhaling back. Exhale, little left side bend. Inhaling back. Exhale, little baby back bend. Inhaling back. Exhale to hinge at those hips. Plant those hands, step it back to your plank, Balasana. Make sure we find that alignment, the activation here, not just sagging into a plank. Big inhale. As we exhale, lowering down through that push up to the mat. Whole body touches at once. If there's a little spider on your mat, don't smush him. Put those toes back, inhale into your little baby cobra. Remember, our goal is to pull the rib cage up away from the hips, not to arch the back here. Releasing down. Take those toes under, inhale through that push up. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Breathe in here. We're going to add one little thing to our lunge here. We're going to get into some single leg balance. Don't worry if it doesn't feel right today, it's alright, you get to practice. We're going to inhale that right leg towards the sky behind you. And exhale, sweeping through into that low lunge. Get set up in this lunge. Find your foundation through those legs. Length through the spine. Inhale, arms and torso lift, crescent lunge. And exhale, a little right side bend. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, a little back bend. We're going to inhale back to center. We're going to exhale, planting those hands. Stay here for a second. Maybe you want the blocks. I'll demonstrate for you. I'm going to take that weight into that right foot, trying to shift forward. And we're going to launch to stand just on that right leg, coming all the way up to stand. Those arms can lift up overhead. And we lift that left knee up towards the chest. It's our single leg mountain. Ekapata Tadasana. Just a few breaths here. Imagine you could squeeze those legs together. And as we exhale, stepping back into that lunge. Plant those hands to the mat. Step it back, downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths here. Let's take the same thing on the other side. Inhale that left leg to the sky. And exhale, sweeping through into that low lunge. Find that foundation through those legs. Inhaling, arms and torso lift. Crescent lunge. Big in breath. Exhale, a little left side bend. Inhaling back. Exhale, little back bend. Inhaling back. Exhale to hinge, hands to blocks or pillows or mat. Taking that weight into that left leg. Inhale to stand, sweeping that right knee up in front. Single leg mountain, those arms can come out to the sides. We're all the way up overhead. No locking that left knee. Lift that right knee high, squeeze those legs towards each other. Take a big in-breath. As we exhale, stepping that right foot back, crescent lunge. Inhale. Exhale to hinge forward at those hips. Plant those hands. Step it back, downward facing dog. And let's release to those knees. Sitting back for that child's pose. Butt back towards the heels. Sipping that belly in. Laying that head down towards the mat or pillows. Creeping those arms out overhead. Just taking a few breaths here. That's it for our strength for today. Now we got a little bit of movement, flexibility, stability, strength. Body's warm, relaxed. We're going to see if we can increase our flexibility, our range of motion a little bit more. And when you're ready, meet me back in that downward facing dog. Remember, the way I teach is bent knee downward dogs. Most people can't ground those heels like this without tucking in those hips. When you're ready, we're going to inhale that right leg towards the sky again. And as we exhale, we're going to sweep this right shin through for a pigeon. So we're sweeping that right knee towards the outside of that right wrist. Right ankle towards that left wrist. That shin grounded into the mat, just like so. Torso still lifted. Point the left toes straight back. And this is our pigeon. Just like your cobra, can you press down into that left big toe and pinky toe? Can you press down into that right shin? Trying to keep those hips pointing straight ahead. And if you peek, parallel to the floor. We're not sagging into one side or the other. Trying to keep those arms grounded. Stretch the chest open. Break that elbow belt again. It's like I'm pressing your elbows together. You're pressing out into my hands. Big inhales and exhales here. We're going to be here for a little while. Come back to that heart-focused breath we started with. Long inhales and exhales. Drawing out that out breath. No sagging into those hips. Maybe you can scoot that left leg further back. But maybe where you're at is just perfect. That's okay. Probably feel a big stretch through the outside of that right hip, right glute. Maybe even that left hip flexor, the front of that left hip. And don't worry if it doesn't look like this. This is years of practice. Your right heel might be underneath your left groin still. Or it might be out in front of your left hip a little bit. No using your hands to create a better looking posture. You're only going to take what your body's ready to give you today. We're not stealing. Long exhales. Just inviting yourself a little bit deeper into it. Staying upright today. No laying down into this pigeon as you see a lot of people do. Just not for us today. Just not today. I'd like you to close those eyes. Notice what you're encountering here. Any urge to run away, to quit. Any anger. Any urge to laugh or cry. You get a lot of emotions trapped in the hips. You feel your body deepening into it a little bit. And if you gotta make it a little bit easier by starting to tilt forward, and do it. We don't want any pain here. Discomfort, yes. Pain, we don't want that. Relax collapse through the neck and shoulders. When you're ready, re-ground into those palms. Dig the left toes under. Maybe we can inhale, lifting the left knee up, and exhale, sweeping that right leg back to meet the left in that downward facing dog. Ooh, take a couple wiggles there in the hips. Notice how does that right hip feel today. When you're ready, taking a big inhale, reaching that left leg for the sky, and exhale, sweeping through into our pigeon on the left, sweeping that left knee towards the left wrist, left ankle towards the right wrist. No using your hands to get there. Ground that left shin into the mat. Set that right knee down, point the right toes straight back. Get yourself wiggled here so those hips can point straight ahead to the best of your ability without any pain in the joints. Pressing down into the top of that right foot, down into that left shin. Feeling those legs working, feel those hips, those glutes online as we exhale. Maybe we can relax back into it a little bit. Remember, we want this alignment through our tiny bit of activation. And if you're like, hey, this doesn't feel right in my hips and my back, then tweak it, adjust it, so that it feels less painful. Discomfort? Good, we want that. It's called tapas, going into the discomfort, the fire like the phoenix, so we can come out the other side anew. The pain, that's just teenage hero stuff. And if you're here to let that stuff go. Big inhales. Long exhales. No competition. No pain inside of any joints. Tendons and ligaments inside your joints, they don't go back. You stay out of them. You regress the postures. Muscles, though, can stretch up to 150% their length and still go back with integrity. You want to feel those stretches in the muscles, not inside of your joint. Big inhales and exhales. Maybe you want to cry like my son right now, if you heard him in the background. Stay with it. Notice what's here to greet you. Your body wants to wiggle a little bit, let it happen. Your body knows what it needs. Most of the time. And when you're ready, let's reground through those palms, digging the right toes under. Inhale, that right knee lifts. Exhale, sweeping it back. Downward facing dog. Wiggle into those hips. Hello. Feel free to pedal into the heels a little bit, like we're going to stretch the left one down to the mat, then the right. There's all the space that you've created today. Let's release those knees to the mat. And then make your way onto your back. Laying down flat on your back here. Knees bent. Plant the soles of your feet. Just looking up at the ceiling, at the sky for a moment here. Grounded through the soles of the feet, that tailbone heavy. A little bit of space underneath your lower back, but not a ton. Also, lower back is not smashed into the floor. Just release a little bit away from that. Notice if you resist your heels towards your hips. just like you're going to pull them towards the hips. So it kind of tilts your tailbone, untucks a little bit. We like that. See if you can wiggle that rib cage up away from the hips a tiny bit. Setting back down and zipping those front ribs in. That spine is flat against the floor where the rib cage starts. That's the neutral spine we want. Let's see if we can reach those arms out to a T by your sides. Pressing the back of the hands down into the mat. Gently. See if we can keep that alignment through the spine, that belly zipped in while you lift your right foot up off the mat and then your left. Your knees are up over your hips. Feel free to take that left hand to that right knee here. Big inhale. Keep that right shoulder down. This is called containment. As we exhale, release those legs over the left hand side. Called a supine twist or Jathara Parivartasana. You might decide to scoot that left hip back a little bit underneath that right hip to stack them. You might need a couple pillows underneath that left thigh here in order to keep that right shoulder down. If that right shoulder's coming up, you've lost your containment. It's kind of like we're wringing ourselves out like a towel. That torso is gently twisted right as those hips are gently twisted left. The left hand can come over the top of that right thigh without forcing it. Letting go in your body. Just focus on breathing in just the right side of the rib cage. How big can you inflate it before you let it go? Again, relaxing through the forehead and the jaw, the ears and the mouth, the shoulders and the chest. Just letting that breath sink you deeply into the mat. Just let go of anything that you might still be holding on to here. And when you're ready, reaching that left arm back out to that T, grounding through both shoulders. Inhale to unwind back to center. And exhale to plant those feet. Notice that your hips have traveled. Scoot back to the center of the mat, even to the left a little bit. And then we're going to ground through that left shoulder, lifting those feet up, knees over the hips. Right hand come to that left knee, taking a big inhale. As we exhale, releasing those legs over to the right hand side. Keep that left shoulder grounded. It starts to come up, take a pillow, block, blanket, whatever you need underneath those legs so that the left shoulder stays down. The containment is the most important thing. Otherwise, we're not stretching what we're intending to. Maybe you scoot that right hip back to stack that left hip over the top of the right. Begin that expansion, left side of the ribs. Just letting that breath sink you deeper into the mat. how your body relaxes, releases in layers. When you're ready, reaching that right arm out to that T, ground to those shoulders. Let's inhale to unwind you to center. Send those feet down, scoot yourself back to the middle of the mat. And just for fun, let's pull those knees in towards the chest to the best of your ability, giving yourself a big hug. If you rock and roll into it a little bit. And when you're ready, send those legs out long beneath you into our final posture of the day. And those arms fall down by the sides into what's called Shavasana, the corpse pose. And if Agnieszka was here, she would say, now you're allowed to relax. There's no relaxing in yoga outside of Shavasana. I invite you to close your eyes. Just imagine that you could relax into your forehead, your jaw, tiny muscles around your ears. Feeling those ear canals relaxing, deepening towards the back of the mouth. Feeling the tongue, the teeth relaxing. Even the roof of your mouth expanding towards the top of your head. Feeling that breath flowing in the deepest areas of the throat. It's so deep, it's almost as though it's flowing through your heart. Just allowing that breath to breathe you. Like the center of the earth is pulling you down with just a little bit more gravity as your whole body is heavy and warm and relaxed. Your heart is free, easy, like it could float above your chest. Just letting yourself go wherever you need to go. Leaving everything else behind. Feel free to stay here as long as you wish. you're following along with me, let's reach those arms out overhead, taking a big long stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Let's exhale, pulling those knees in towards the chest again. Give yourself a little hug. Rocking and rolling on that back, gently rolling onto that right hand side into a fetal position, trying to keep those knees pulled in. And rest that head on that bottom arm or on the hands or a pillow. Just take a few breaths into that rib cage, into that left side. What does it feel like? When you're ready, using the strength of your arms to make your way back up to a seated position, keeping all that length we've worked for. I invite you to Sukhasana, the easy pose again, crisscross applesauce, with the opposite leg pulled in. Untucking the flesh of the butt. Breathing yourself nice and tall. Chest is open. Back body's open. Remember breaking that elbow belt. Gaze lifted. Inhale and reaching those arms out to the sides and all the way up overhead. And exhale, bring those palms together and to heart center. As we say in yoga, I see you in myself. I see myself in you. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. Drop in the comments. Let me know. What was this like for you? What was the experience? What did this awaken within you? And what was the insight that you gained? Whether it was something about your body, your mind, your emotions. And this is what I teach my men in men's yoga transformation over the course of 12 weeks. Releasing and resetting stiffness, tightness in the body. Restoring strength through Hatha like we did today. And unleashing our flow, beginning to link more postures together as we get through that program to really facilitate ease and freedom in the body. And if you know about me, you know that I say the body and mind are like a mirror. And ease in the body means ease in the mind. So thank you very much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you want more of these. Share with your friends. Like this. Share it with people you don't like. And you have an awesome day. Bye.